The Panzerspähwagen P204F was a very interesting and unique armored car in the ranks of the Wehrmacht during World War II. However, this armored car was not born under this name. The original designation was Panhard 178 and it was originated from France. The Panhard 178, also called as the AMD35, was designed to be a reconnaissance vehicle that has enough firepower to take on much heavier tanks and armored vehicles while maintaining high speed and off-road capability to be able to withdraw quickly if it was needed. Its history started in the end of 1931 when the French cavalry was looking for armored car that can perform reconnaissance duties but also have strong combat capabilities. Panhard, the leading French armored car producer at the time, designed Panhard 178. After testing it, the vehicle was adopted by the French cavalry as the AMD35. This happened in 1934 and the first operational vehicles were delivered in February of 1937. As per specifications, the Panhard 78 was 8 tons heavy, it was powered by a 4-cylinder 105 horsepower engine, the maximum speed was around 72 km per hour. Interestingly, its turret was accommodating 2 crew members. This was different from all other French armored vehicles at the time, as they only had space for one. This new design allowed the commander to be actually the vehicle commander, while the operation of the gun was the duty of the gunner. Also, just a note, early during the war, it was clear that single crew turret tanks were in a huge disadvantage compared to multi-crew turreted tanks, as in a single turret the commander was also the gunner, the loader, the spotter, and often the radio controller too. This is way too many functions to perform in a combat scenario, and to be honest, it's also almost impossible. During the German invasion of France in May and June 1940, the advancing German armored divisions caught the French army by surprise, and due to this, many intact French vehicles were abandoned due to lack of fuel, parts, or time for repair. They were easily captured and occasionally used by the German forces during the campaign. After the June armistice, Germany inventoried captured French vehicles and taking 190 new or depot-stored Panhard 178 out of the 729 total that was built. They received the designation of Panzerspähwagen P204F after the modifications such as new light machine guns, which was the MG34. They received new radios. They received, of course, German markings. The 204 designation was an administrative, and the F actually stood for Frankreich, which means France in German. They were deployed in Operation Barbarossa after testing deemed them to comparable to the HDKFZ 221-23 family. Only in the first year, 107 vehicles were lost. The heavy losses resulted from mud and poor armor, vulnerable to infantry anti-tank rifles. They also received a lot of criticism of their short range, which was a pre-war French design flaw. Despite heavy losses, some of the P204Fs were converted into radio vehicles with a bed frame antennas on the top by late 1941-1942 and served on the Eastern Front into 1943, with some of them even receiving spaced armor. Another 43 were converted as railway patrol vehicles, also called as Schienenpanzer, often with the bed frame antennas on the top for rear area security. The remaining 34, seized in November 1942, were converted into 50mm gun armed support vehicles and saw action in Normandy and in France. In the meantime, the Vichy-controlled France also used vehicles for the police force, but the 20mm gun was removed and replaced with a second light machine gun. As these vehicles were very potent vehicles, they have seen many conversions and they were used throughout the war. So just to summarize it, in the hand of the Germans, there were mainly 3 different variants. The first one was the Panzerspähwagen 178 P204F. These were what the Wehrmacht captured and refitted Panhard 178s with German radios, MG34 light machine guns. They were appreciated for the 20mm gun and speed, and they were used until spare parts were exhausted. The second version was the Schienenpanzer P204F. These were the 43 wheeled vehicles were modified post-1941 into railway protection vehicles with larger radios, antennas. The third version was the P204F with the 5cm KVK gun. 34 vehicles seized in Vichy France were armed with 50mm L42 or L60 guns in open turrets, serving as a reconnaissance, fire support and anti-partisan vehicles. And with this we arrived to the end of the video. Thank you for joining me and see you in the next one.